The cockroach lineage is roughly 300 million years old. For context, dinosaurs appeared around 230 million years ago, meaning the ancestors of today's cockroaches were already crawling around Earth 70 million years before the first dinosaur. And then came the extinctions. Permian extinction, 96% of marine species erased, 70% of land vertebrates. The cockroach lineage survived. Triassic extinction, roughly half of all species gone. The cockroach lineage still survived. Then the asteroid hit. Dinosaurs gone. Entire ecosystems collapsed. But the cockroaches, yes, still survived. 3 mass extinctions, 3 catastrophic global disasters, and somehow the cockroach, the one no apex predator ever feared, walked out of all of it. Why? Because the cockroach never required the world to stay stable. But human beings love optimization. We worship it. Become the best. Master one thing. Dominate a niche. Specialize. And to be fair, this works extremely well until the environment changes. See, most powerful creatures in history were specialists. They evolve for specific conditions, a specific climate, a specific food source, a specific niche. This works perfectly until the conditions change. The T-Rex was unbelievably optimized for its environment. Massive jaws, immense strength, apex predator. Then an asteroid changed the environment, and suddenly none of those advantages mattered. That's the problem with specialization. The more perfectly adapted you are to one version of reality, the more fragile you become when reality changes. But the cockroach took the opposite approach. It is not impressive to look at. No claws, no venom, not the fastest, not the apex predator of anything. The cockroach never specialized. It eats almost anything organic, decaying matter, hair, book glue, other insects, and when times are genuinely hard, each other. It can live in temperatures from near freezing to tropical. It can slow its metabolism by 75% during food shortages and restart when conditions improve. It can survive a week without its head. It never became dependent on one specific version of the future, which sounds less impressive than being a T-Rex, right up until the T-Rex explodes. And this exact pattern keeps destroying companies. In 1975, a Kodak engineer invented the digital camera. They patented it, then buried it for 25 years, because Kodak wasn't actually built to adapt. It was built to win at film. Blockbuster had 9,000 stores and a chance to buy Netflix for $50 million. They passed. Nokia held 40% of the global mobile market. Internal reports naming the exact threat, but they kept optimizing for what they already did well. Kodak filed for bankruptcy in 2012, Blockbuster in 2010, Nokia sold its phone division for parts in 2014. Entire companies become victims of the thing they were once praised for. And the uncomfortable part is, this happens to people too. A skill becomes your identity. Your identity becomes your comfort zone. Your comfort zone becomes a trap. You stop exploring, stop experimenting, stop tolerating beginner status, because adaptation feels humiliating once you've already been competent. That's why people cling to dying systems, not because they're stupid, because psychologically, changing feels like death. Here's the important thing. The cockroach is not constantly reinventing itself. It hasn't rebranded. The cockroach from 100 million years ago looks almost identical to the one in your kitchen right now. What it preserved is a core that works. Food source, environment, metabolic rate, chemical resistance, all flexible. The cockroach commits to surviving. It does not commit to surviving in any particular way. Adaptation does not mean becoming a completely different person every 6 months. It means refusing to become so rigid that change destroys you. Amazon started as a bookstore. Now it's basically a cloud computing empire that occasionally ships toothpaste to your house. The core stayed. The mechanism changed. That's the cockroach move. Not reinvention, reclassification, preserve the function, adapt the form. But by the time you desperately need adaptation, it's usually actually too late to build it. Cockroaches survive pesticides because some of them already carry random variations before the threat appears. The environment changes, the prepared survive. That's evolution, and humans repeatedly ignore this. Most people only adapt once pain becomes unbearable, which is late, very late. The people who survive change best are usually the ones experimenting before they're forced to, learning new skills before unemployment, building flexibility before collapse, creating options before desperation. Because reality rarely announces transitions politely. One day, the map changes, and suddenly, your old strengths stop functioning. So here's the real question. What part of your identity only works under current conditions? What are you assuming will always matter? What are you overinvested in? Because every extinct thing in history believed the environment would continue behaving normally. That's the dangerous part. The specialist looks intelligent right before the environment changes. The cockroach looks ridiculous right before it survives again. In 1963, a business professor, Leon C. Megginson, summarized Darwin with a quote people still repeat today: "It is not the strongest that survives, nor the most intelligent. It is the one most responsive to change." And maybe that's the real lesson here. The goal is not to become unstoppable. The goal is to become difficult to eliminate. The cockroach understood something humans hate admitting. Survival is not about dignity. It's about flexibility. And flexibility is ugly. But ugly things survive for a very, very long time. If that unsettles you slightly, there's a video on how philosophers spent 2,000 years ruining the concept of heaven, and another on how much you're punished for something depends on factors completely outside your control.